We are already a quarter of the way through 2025, and I have yet to accomplish anything meaningful. Thankfully, I listen to a lot of good music. Between brand new albums, new singles, and old favorites that I've just gotten around to listening to somehow, quarter one of 2025 has been productive, at least as far as music listening goes. This is the start of a new series on this channel where we're going to review the music I listen to on a quarterly basis every 3 months, in the hopes of sparking a constructive conversation in the comments, thus driving up engagement on my video and pushing it further into the YouTube algorithm in the hopes of turning a profit one day. This is the quarterly review. Let's start. We're going to begin with some albums and EPs from the year, new releases, stuff that just came out this year. So let's start with Can You Keep a Secret, the debut record from pop rock duo Diva Bleach. Diva Bleach is a band I've been following for about a year, since they were announced on the 2024 Sad Summer Festival lineup. By the way, rip Sad Summer, I'm not upset about that. Either way, their debut record was released on January 17th to critical praise from me. Can You Keep a Secret is exciting, punky, and energetic from start to finish, but one of my favorite aspects is the lead singer Sydney's vocals. This girl's got pipes that, if you ask me, can rival the likes of Avril Lavigne and Hayley Williams. And I can also say, from a first-hand account, that they hold up just as well live. If you're looking to get into Diva Bleach, my personal favorite songs from this album are Torn in Two, I Like You, and Cross My Heart. Moving on, let's talk about an established band that just put out a new record this year, Grayscale. Grayscale is a band I've been following pretty closely since 2021's Umbra. With a selection of singles that frankly underwhelmed me though, I can't say that I was incredibly excited for their early 2025 release, The Heart. After a few listens though, I gotta say, I was pleasantly surprised by this record. While the singles, with the exception of Not Afraid to Die, were mostly disappointing to me, the other unreleased songs on the record were pretty enjoyable. Songs like Hold Me Through the Landslide and Talking in My Sleep are energetic and lively, but are also balanced out by the slower, mellower songs like Dance With Your Ghost and Painting Over You. Listening to the entire record also gave me a chance to appreciate some of the singles I was sleeping on, most notably Kept Me Alive, which I find to be a crazy good start to the record, especially leading into Landslide. All around, my favorite songs from The Heart are probably Not Afraid to Die, Kept Me Alive, and Through the Landslide. If you love this one, please make sure you also give Nella Vita and Umbra a shot too. I swear you will not regret it. Everyone loves a good surprise album, right? I sure know I do. It's always such a pleasant surprise waking up to 9 new songs from one of your favorite artists, and The Main is no exception to that rule. Died is a collection of unreleased tracks spanning The Main's entire career. Maybe it's unfair to call it a dedicated album compared to other releases we're going to talk about on this list, but screw it, it counts enough, so I'm going to go with it. Because of that, though, it doesn't exactly flow like you might expect a standard album to. I think the best comparison of this is one of Connor Price's Spin the Globe compilations, where it's just kind of a bunch of songs instead of like a cohesive unit. That's how I think about it, at least. Now, it's not to say that these 9 songs are terrible, because they're actually the opposite. While these songs do come from every era of the band's career, you can definitely see influences from The Main's modern sound on each of these songs. Each track definitely mimics this alt, indie, pop, rocky sound you might have heard on XOXO or self-titled. Now, you can also hear other styles sneaking through, though. For instance, I hear a lot of American Candy on Stray Dogs. Get It Back sounds like a B-side from You Are Okay, and I Can't Help Myself, well, that just sounds like it could have been on anything post-2011. Died is a pretty cool dive into The Main's history, especially after nearly 20 years as a band. My top songs have to be Don't Light the Match, Stray Dogs, and I Can't Help Myself. Also, The Main isn't from Maine. They're from Arizona. I just thought I would point that out, that's all. Now, if you're a veteran watcher of my channel, you will know that I love this band called Winona Fighter. This is a band I got into at the end of 2024, with their debut record being one of my most anticipated for this year. Having over a month to kind of mull things over and really listen to it a lot, it is safe to say that My Apologies to the Chef has solidified itself as one of my top albums of the year so far. My Apologies to the Chef is an aggressive gut punch across its 14 songs, all of which come together to form what I call a brilliant debut record. The lead singer, Coco's voice, has this dope, raw aggression that really sells the tense frustration she's sharing on each of these songs. Beyond vocals though, Winona Fighter also just thrives on really catchy instrumentals. All of these songs feel like they could have come out 20 years ago among the ranks of the All-American Rejects and Newfound Glory. My favorite songs off of My Apologies to the Chef are Attention, Talk, and Swear to God That I'm Fine, but you really can't go wrong with anything on this record. Our final entry for new albums is Silverstein's latest release, Anti-Bloom. Over fall of 2024, I had a little post-hardcore phase, and one song that I found myself always coming back to was Smile in Your Sleep by Silverstein. Out of curiosity from a Spotify notification, I decided to give Anti-Bloom a shot, and I was shocked that the band that's been around for as long as Silverstein has still sounds this good. And that's maybe a close-minded way of thinking of things, because I think a ton of artists have put out some of their best work later into their career. Regardless though, Anti-Bloom's great. You cannot go wrong. Right from the get-go, Mercy Mercy is a gut punch of establishing tone and expectations for the record. The pacing is great, the performance holds up incredibly. With this being the shortest entry on the list yet, this is naturally the one I just kind of have the least to say about it. Top songs from Anti-Bloom include Don't Let Me Get Too Low, Confession, and A Little Fight. And my understanding is also that Anti-Bloom is part one of a double album, so it's safe to say that whenever Silverstein decides to release that, I will be waiting excitedly. It's not the word I wanted to use, I couldn't think of it. Alright, so previously on the channel, I've talked about how I listen to a new album every single Monday. I've been doing this for like 5 years now, which is sort of blowing my mind. But every Monday at 9 a.m. sharp, my alarm goes off, I've got a new album to listen to. We're going to talk about a few of those throwbacks right now, starting with Mayday Parade's Anywhere But Here. I have an interestingly stubborn relationship with Mayday Parade. It's a weird sentence. Back during COVID, I tried out this Valdosta EP that they put out, because Terrible Things just decided to wreck me one day on Spotify autoplay. But nothing really grabbed me from the EP, so I didn't really go back to revisit the artist. Now let's fast forward to spring of 2021, and I finally give A Lesson in Romantics a try, Mayday Parade's debut record, and I loved it. Little did I know it would be another full year until I gave Mayday Parade another shot with 2018's Sunnyland, which I listened to in May of 2022. Sadly, I didn't really end up liking that one so much, so we went on another year-long hiatus. Now fast forward again to Sad Summerfest 2024, Mayday Parade is a co-headliner, and their closing performance of the night brought so much energy to me after a day of being at the festival completely alone in the pouring rain. They literally turned the day around and made it so pleasant. September saw me trying out their self-titled record, and March saw me try out Anywhere But Here, their sophomore album. Just as I did with Folly Ado, I kicked myself in the ass for not listening to this record sooner because it might actually be my favorite release for Mayday Parade yet. Now I won't bother you with another YouTuber apology, but if you love pop punk music and you love being sad, I can't recommend Anywhere But Here enough. My top songs from this record include Kids in Love, Silence, and Get Up. Unironically, I am so sad I'm missing the spring tour that they're doing, but it is what it is. Now, you might not immediately recognize the name Cassidy Pope, but chances are if you've been in the alternative pop-punk scene long enough, you definitely recognize her voice. She's the lead singer of Hey Monday, winner of the 3rd season of The Voice, and kickstarted her solo music career in 2013. While her solo career initially kickstarted with country, she made a return to form, I guess you could call it, with 2024's Hereditary, which is sort of a pop-punk, pop-rock inspired sound. Now, there were 2 songs that really pushed me to explore this album. Firstly, Coma, a song by Taylor Acorn featuring Cassidy Pope. Now, you guys know I love me a good Taylor Acorn song, and Coma was already a song I liked before the Cassidy Pope version came out. It feels like the perfect song to be a back and forth duet, and the pair plays off each other beautifully. The other song, however, was People That I Love Leave, Hereditary's lead single. This song got recommended to me by Spotify's Discover Weekly, and quickly became one of my top songs in November 2024. Top songs from the album include the aforementioned single, Eye Contact, and Capacity, but I also have to recommend that you check out Hey Monday as well. Now let's talk about some up-and-comers. A few months ago, my friend Izzy introduced me to this band called Among Legends. After taste testing a few songs, I knew that not only did I have to listen to more of their work, but I had to spread the good word and get this band the recognition it deserves. I chose to listen to their debut record, Take Good Care, from 2022, and was thoroughly impressed and also just blown away that Among Legends isn't bigger than they are. Take Care is 45 minutes of pure pop punk, and I really don't think you can go wrong with that. My favorite songs from Take Good Care are Monochrome, Come Up Swinging, and Magnolia, but the whole album is timeless. Now, if you can do me a favor, leave a comment with a band that you think deserves way more love than they're actually getting. We're talking like under 1,000 monthly listeners, way less streams than they deserve. Just like Among Legends, I think this would be super cool if we could get an entire series out of this, recognizing these smaller artists and pushing them to further heights. So yeah, let me know your recommendations. Alright, on to the next album. Polyphia is an artist that I always just assumed was a heavy metal band. based on their appearances. That sounds so bad saying out loud. But after reading about the band on Wikipedia and trying out a few of their highest streamed songs, I learned a very quick and harsh lesson about judging a book by its cover. Remember That You Will Die, my most recent addition to my weekly albums list, was one astonishing record. Now, this was my first experience listening to a primarily instrumental album, excluding any video game soundtracks, obviously, and Polyphia did not disappoint. It's almost hard for me to even describe or categorize what I listened to on this record, because the way this band spans across genres is just impressive. There are elements of rock, jazz, R&B, classical, I mean, it's all there. Every single song sounds so fresh and different from one another, while also staying within Polyphia's distinct style. My top songs off this record include Playing God, ABC, and Neurotica. If you love having music on while you're multitasking, getting work done, whatever it might be, I cannot recommend Polyphia enough. So I told myself I wasn't going to include any artists twice on this list, but we're making an exception here. We're going to talk about Silverstein again, specifically Discovering the Waterfront. Antiplume was great and all, but it's been a long time since an album knocked my socks off like this one did. Silverstein is single-handedly responsible for regaining my interest in the genre of post-hardcore, and it is thanks to this album. Now look, I've been trying to be more accepting of heavier music over the years, and to an extent, I have been. Bring Me the Horizon was one of my top artists last year, and I also found myself going back to I Prevail and Bad Omens quite a lot. There's something about post-hardcore, though, that just scratches a good itch. I get that melodic pop-punk side and the vocals that I'm so fond of, alongside a healthy but manageable dosage of screaming. Silverstein balances these two elements perfectly, creating an amazing debut album in the form of Discovering the Waterfront. My top songs are Smile in Your Sleep, Already Dead, and My Heroine. While I've listened to a lot of great albums over the last 3 months, there have been a lot of really good singles that have either come out or just come into my attention. So let's talk about some standalone songs, starting with Feel It Again by Arrows in Action. Feel It Again is one of Arrow's most recent songs and sort of a lead single for part 1 of their sophomore album, I Think I've Been Here Before. If you've seen my review of Built to Last, I don't think I need to explain to you why I was excited for this song. Now, I'm not sure where I'll rank it alongside the other album's singles, Hello Sunlight and Cheekbones, but I do love me a good upbeat Arrow song. This is also my favorite music video from Arrows. If we're talking about songs that fully knocked my socks off and just keep beating me down though, we need to talk about Sleep Token's newest song, Emergence. Sleep Token is a band that I have been sleeping on. But on a serious note, I've been meaning to get into this band for the longest time, and I decided it was time to take the plunge with this song, the first single off their forthcoming record. And to say I was blown away was an understatement. The song is crazy. Similar to Polyphia, I struggle even trying to find the words to describe this song's sound, but Vessel's vocal performance alongside some grandiose piano and guitar instrumentals are just a chilling combination. Even if you're not a big fan of metal or heavier music, I think you can find something to enjoy in this song, so I strongly recommend that you listen to Emergence. Okay, look, I know I said I wasn't going to feature multiple artists multiple times, but we have to talk about this newish song by Mayday Parade. By the way, isn't a song I've been going back to super recently, but when the song came out at the beginning of the year, it was one that I wasn't able to stay away from. I'm always shocked with how beautifully Derek's voice has aged after so many years, and this song is no exception. By the way, it's powerful and emotional, and if we're getting more songs like this, it's safe to say I'm excited for the full release of Sweet next week. Earlier, I also mentioned my journey of acceptance towards heavy music. One of my favorite bands that my brothers put me on through this journey is Bring Me the Horizon. Their song Antivist, however, is one that I only recently became fond of. Sempiternal has never been my favorite Bring Me album, which is controversial, but whatever. And I guess my first listen to this song 2 years ago just wasn't that memorable, so I never went back to it. Nowadays, though, certain stresses and annoyances in my life have cultivated a need for an aggressive song such as Antivist. The song is aggressive and angry, harsh and unapologetic, making it a perfect decompression song after a tough day of work. There's just something incredibly cathartic about screaming these words at 5 p.m. on a Tuesday, in your car. So don't knock it till you try it. Nick D was one of my top artists on Spotify last year, but he's another one that's sort of hard to put a genre on. He's a little bit of country, a little bit of hip hop, a touch of rock here and there. He kind of does a lot of stuff. If I'm putting any tags on his song Duo though, I think it's sort of a pop lo-fi rap song, if that makes sense. Comparing it to something like Pow Fu, if that means anything to you, is probably the closest I can get of this song. Look, I've said it before, I'll say it again, I am a sucker for a sweet cheesy love song. And Duo is one of many that Nick has composed, part of his latest album for Amanda. The song is vibey, it's chill, there's not much else to say besides that, it's just a good song. Now, I wasn't initially planning on adding this final entry to the video, but they managed to sneak their way in, so I'm gonna give them credit. If I had a nickel for every Australian pop punk band that I had to watch dissolve right in front of my eyes, I would have 2 nickels. Which isn't a lot, but it's weird that it happened twice. This time we're talking about Between You and Me, who announced their indefinite hiatus at the end of last year. Recently, though, I kind of felt inspired to go back and revisit their music, because it's been a while since I've explored more than 2 or 3 songs from them. One song that really stuck with me was Goldfish, a song that I've mostly disregarded in the past. There's something about Fake-Ass Friends that makes for such an amazing pop-punk song. Goldfish is bouncy, bodacious, and bitchy in all the best ways. While I miss Between You and Me, I'm happy that they are following and doing what's best for them, and I'm grateful that I even got to see them in the first place. Okay, last part, we're gonna kind of make this a lightning round. We're gonna talk about some highly anticipated releases for the rest of the year, and then maybe we'll circle back on them for future videos. Okay, let's start. First up, we've got I Think I've Been Here Before by Arrows in Action. Once again, this should not come as a surprise at all. Every single leading up to this release has been phenomenal, and while I'm not crazy about the 2-part release that Arrows is going with for this record, I do have a lot of trust in Arrows to put something out that's gonna blow me away. So obviously I'm excited. The Somerset is also hyping up to release their 5th album this year. This is a band that I got into just as they were reuniting and coming back out of a 4 or 5 year long hiatus. But now, even 4 years after they've come back, we still don't have a return album. And I know Blossom was supposed to be 2 parts that would eventually meld into one, but anyways, more Somerset is never a bad thing. So whenever this comes out, I am going to be there. If you're sleeping on any band in the pop punk scene though, it is definitely Last Night Saved My Life. Their new album, The First Hello, comes out later this month. I highly recommend you go check out Blue Moon, which is the lead single for the album, and I think you'll understand just why I'm so excited for this release. Moving on, we've also been told that Connor Price will finally be putting out his debut record this year. Or at least he's going to be working on it. I don't think there's any timeline whatsoever, but it's starting production. While I haven't been super fond of most of his recent songs, Connor is an artist that I always find myself going back to no matter what. So it's safe to say I will be going into this release with an open mind. Also, I met him once. He's pretty cool. And finally, Sleep Tokens, Even in Arcadia. Emergence is still blowing my mind. As things stand, Even in Arcadia has some pretty big shoes to fill. I've got very high expectations for it, and in the time leading up to it, I'll be listening to more Sleep Tokens, so that'll hold me over at least. Alright, so that's most of what I've been listening to over the last 3 months. If you're curious about more stuff that I was listening to that didn't make the cut, I'm going to be leaving a playlist in the description of what the 3 months looks like, sort of summed up. Otherwise, let me know what you thought about this video and this format. I'm always looking for ways to improve on my content, especially with this being a series going forward. Any constructive feedback is more than welcome. Now, if you'll excuse me, I have a date with Destiny. 2. It's Destiny 2, like the video game. I'm gonna go run some Nightfalls now. Okay, bye.